Okay, friends, welcome to the August 2022 Patreon Twitch sub meeting. Today's meeting will also be going publicly to YouTube as well. In the description section of this video, if you're here specifically about the new Battletech project that might happen, so stressing might, click on the, I don't know, time code, and it should take you there directly. I've been getting some stuff done. Let me just go over current shows and projects. Number one, for a long time, I've been arranging an interview on behalf of the publishing media company Gamerati with Hero Forge. We finally had that interview. James joined me for it. Pondo contributed to it. James and Pondo were given product by Hero Forge. They have their own videos that they'll be making based on reviewing the products that they got. I'm hoping that we can release all of that combined soon in one big media package, so look forward to that. I say a lot of things. I can recall at the beginning of the year talking about all the Battletech projects I was going to do. I've talked before about how I wanted my next D&D show to be like a full adventure path. Clearly, it's not because it's generic fantasy adventure. I am going to start stepping away from making direct promises like that because I don't want to seem like I'm constantly wrong. I will be taking shows as I can get them. That requires a combination of cast, availability, and some other factors, my own time. As a result, I will be doing less discussion of shows that will absolutely happen and more discussion of here are some possible projects. I mean, Lovecraftian horror has been on the menu for like 5 years now, and it's still not here, so could happen anytime. And the Cyberpunk Red show that I already have overlays, which are now outdated, and artwork done for, and a logo, hasn't happened. And the anime that I was going to simultaneously release with is dropping in like a week, so they just decided to do it out of nowhere.
So we better get that show started, huh?
It's not going to happen, Glimo. It's not going to happen. I will also be altering the way I do shows once again. As I've said before, Twitch shows that I do from here on out will have some form of audience interaction. It's not going to be the case for generic fantasy adventure. It's going to be a really basic D&D show. I'll also be producing the shows the way I watch shows, which means no maps from here on out, probably. Like, there won't be a second specific overlay with maps and dice. I think that most people have trouble reading the dice. They aren't really interested in seeing that kind of thing. It's not super interesting to them. I don't really know why it's standard, since a lot of people watch to see reactions on camera and listen. And especially for my audience, I think it's a primarily listening audience. Kane, what are you effing for? What are we?
I'm paying respects to the losses.
Okay. Very well. I must have missed something in chat.
Zoom chat.
I'm making a career out of disappointing Glimo. Well, he's going to be even more unhappy when I tell him about Vampire the Masquerade.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. He's just like, okay.
Henley, that was more Henley. Like, I would have gone along for the ride, but I would have,
VTM is definitely a ride. That's for sure. For sure. I may do something like show a map at the start of a combat so the audience can get a feel for where everything is, but I'm not going to have a second specific map screen because that involves making player cameras smaller, and I think that the people who watch don't watch to see specific small movements. Even when I watch Critical Role type shows or anything on Dropout, I like glance to see what the combat map looks like, but I'm not there to watch the specific small combat moves. It doesn't matter that much to me. And I'm just going to start making shows the way I watch them. Because that's, you know, I'm not going to keep just doing things because that's how it's been done. Maybe that's a bad move. I don't know. That's the course I'm taking. As far as shows go, Rogue Trader is still ending. Apparently, I have accidentally extended it with my insane plan.
Damn it, Arthur.
I want to touch really vaguely on this. I recently unveiled a this is the importance of talking to your game master. I recently unveiled a crazy plan that was a lie. There's actually a second plan built on the first plan. Unfortunately, James has outmaneuvered me, and the first plan is now the only plan. We're just full on doing the first plan. So that's the plan I told him I was doing, and now that's the plan we're doing. My real plan involved meeting Kigorek and being like, "Yep, I lied about those plans. You're the chaos god or you're the god of deception. I thought you'd like that." Here's the real plan. Yeah, I played myself so hard. You could see me dying last night when James is like, "It has a connection to the Garden of Nurgle," and I was like, "Oh no!" We will do that plan though. I'm full speed. I'm Nurgling it up. Looking at James's availability in the future and the fact that December is always a bad month for meetups, and specifically Saturday nights this year fall on both New Year's Eve and Christmas Eve. I think that there may be a possibility Pendragon doesn't start until the new year. Just looking at, yeah, and with Thanksgiving and other holidays, it's possible we could get started sometime in November, and I'm hopeful for it, but any delays are just going to push us out to where starting in December would be a terrible move. Although End of Steel will meet when it meets. I have no further information on that. Everybody's busy. I'm not in any rush to end the show. I used to have a policy that if you couldn't meet for 4 weeks consecutively, the show is over, but people watch End of Steel when it comes out. They take what they're given at this point. They like it enough that I can do whatever the hell I want, so I will. The players volunteer to be here, and if they can't be here, they can't. Solaris Nights is over. We're done. We've got a cast meetup this Thursday where I have a couple of questions to ask, and then I'm just going to let people talk. The cast hasn't had a lot of opportunities to just sit down and talk to each other. And they've had to work together a lot and do some really crazy, stressful stuff. So I wanted to give them a chance to just relax now that the show's over. All right, let me write this down. We're at 8 minutes 33. I'm now going to speed run talking about what I'm calling Project Athena. It doesn't have a better name yet. Wargaming is starting to get big on my channel, and I'm going to talk more about that later. I don't think I need to reiterate that I don't like the direction Battletech's going as a story or as a company. If you've watched me any time in the last year, you already know what I'm talking about. I would like to run an easier Battletech war game. Not anytime soon. I'm still writing it. It will be a little bit involved, and it will have direct Patreon interfacing. This is what I have so far, and it is, of course, subject to change at any time. It will be a show with 4 actual players who will be facing off in pairs. 2 players will be playing the main countries involved in the war, which will be the Capellan Confederation and the Federated Sons. The battlefield will be 50-ish players along the Capellan March, and it will be set in 3025-ish. However, the leaders of these countries will be from an alternate continuity where Ian Davian did not die, and the Liao line did not pass over to Romana Liao, but instead continued 2 generations back in a straight line that didn't end in madness. So the Liao player will, of course, have an edge in intelligence gathering and secret operations, and the Davian player will have a slight edge in military operations and logistics to represent both of those countries' specialties. Their allies will be playing a game of trade. One player will be playing the Lyrian Commonwealth, and the other player will be playing the Free Worlds League. The Free Worlds League will play as the trading partner of the Capellan Confederation, and the Lyrian player will be the trading partner of the Federated Suns. The 2 of them will be playing a game of poker. Each planet will have a specific playing card assigned to it, like the 2 of Spades or the King of Hearts. They'll start out with 5 jump ships, which will not be an individual jump ship, but will represent a caravan of fleets that will go to that world, trade, and come back. At the end of the month, if you are trading with a world that isn't interdicted, you gain that card into your hand. And then you try to form poker hands based on that. Each hand will be worth a certain amount of points, and you'll spend those points as a trading player to either gain new hands representing new waves of fleets heading out into the world, or to buy mercenary forces to assist your partner in the war. You gain knowledge of where cards are by what military planets you are aligned with. So if you are saying, I will trade with a planet like Zebebel Gungi, if Zebebel Gungi has a military unit deployed to another planet, you will know the card of the planet that is Zebebel Gungi, and you will also gain knowledge of the planet military forces that cards are landed on. I did not say that right. But let's say they deployed across the border. You would know the cards of both locations. You wouldn't gain the other card, but you would know it's there, and in the future, you could try to gain that card. So for the trading players, it's about uncovering where specific cards are in order to maximize their points and trying to encourage their partners to take those planets so they can successfully gain those trades. That is the meta game between those 4 players. Every week, we will sit down, some or all of the 4 of us, to play a game of Alpha Strike of one battle that is happening in the meta arc. So 2 forces collide on a world, we play out the Alpha Strike of that. The rest of the battles will be resolved by me. I think that this is the part that probably requires the most work. And I think that I'm leaning towards resolving them at a company representative level. So if you have a regiment of regulars who are a light mech regiment, they would be represented by a medium AI light company versus whatever your opponent is, and let that play out in something like Mech HQ to be representative of the entire fight. Patreon comes in. Patreon members will be allowed to pick which side of the war they want to be on, and will become the highest level nobility of each planet, and will be able to commit additional resources militarily to the lords that they have sworn to. So if you want to be on the side of the Capellan Confederation, your planet will commit an additional regiment that you will choose how it moves across the board in order to help engage. The non-Patreon players, the people who are on the show, will have federal forces that they control, and they can suggest things to their Patreon partners. But like real Battletech nobility, they can just ignore it and do whatever the heck they want. that is what I have so far about Project Athena. I've been going a bit hard here, so I just wanted to stop and give the live Patreon Twitch subs audience here a chance to react before I move into the second half of my Patreon meeting here. How you guys doing? Let me take a drink.
I'm good. That sounds pretty dope so far.
Yeah, I figured you would probably specifically want to be a player in such a game.
100%. Yeah, I want to be involved in any way possible.
How are you? How are you feeling? You seem like someone who would want to be one of the two main military force commanders.
Yeah, 100%. I want to.
Yeah, I didn't think you'd be I didn't think you'd be a poker player. All right. Well, I'm glad to hear at least somebody is excited for that show.
It sounds interesting. It also sounds like it can be a little bit involved.
Yeah, it will be involved. It will be essentially a short form mega game. That's why I want to spread the work out over a full week. Give myself as much time as possible to just resolve people's moves. And, you know, I used to do play-by-post on this channel, so nothing will ever be as bad as Winter's Edge or Winter's Edge 2 or Chrome Blood. Jesus Christ. Nothing will be as bad as those with players actively, with the audience actively sabotaging the players. All right. Any other comments before I move on? Generic fantasy adventure is coming up end of September. I put out a tweet one day that was just like, man, I really just want to play some D&D. Several people replied to it with likes. One of them was Lauren Danger. So I reached out to Lauren and asked, I got a lot of time. You want to play D&D? She said yes. I gained a party based around that on a Sunday night. That's how that came about out of nowhere. I mean, it literally just came up out of nowhere. Bearded Jalopno, who's on the show, will be doing the character art for it. James has been doing... I'm sorry, I don't remember the program you use, James. Is it Blender?
A bit of Blender, bit of Daz. Yeah.
Daz, yeah, Daz. To do, you know, some of his character stuff. So we're gonna have some pretty cool artwork for it, which will make up for the fact that the overlay will be as generic and bland as possible. And as I said, I won't really be doing alternative map overlays from this point forward. So, you know, you'll
Are
just
we
be
looking at the new AP Gaming Reel overlay right now? Is this what it's going to be going forward?
No. It's going to be slightly more dressed up than just a Zoom screen. Just slightly, though. Just slightly. I'll be doing the GM prep for Generic Fantasy Adventure in about 40 minutes. I'm going to GM prep the entire campaign and as like a lay out the timeline and the first episode. I anticipate it'll probably be 10 to 15 episodes. And as we get towards the end of the season, we can sit down with the players and talk about whether this time slot still works, or whether we need to move it somewhere else, or whether they even want it to continue. Either way, I feel like it will probably clean itself up slightly after end of year. So January, February, we should probably be ending it up. Just assuming that there will be several delays in filming for holidays and such and unexpected things. This Wednesday, we'll be doing a one-shot of a tabletop RPG called Metroville. The creator of Metroville contacted me based on some of my previous work and some suggestions. It will be Kane Damiel, Cottontailed, and Soundwave's Ghost. We're gonna play it and outline the system to people, and that'll be that. I'm joining a Cyberpunk Red one, not a one shot, but like I'm not really sure how it works. Lawson, you're the GM for that. You tell me, how's it gonna work? All right. I don't know if he's typing. Anyway, Lawson is running a Cyberpunk Red campaign that I'll be playing solo. He's cooking right now. All right. You'll find out more later, I guess. From Lawson, not me. I don't know what's going to happen with it because Lawson is the game master. Count Ronald Swan exists. I have a lot of videos for it still prepped up. I got to do a couple more Battle Brothers, and probably in 2 to 3 weeks I'll have to start remaking content for it. It's okay. I think that the success of certain shows on Count Ronald Swan has really pushed me towards doing more wargaming with RP stuff. As much as I like playing something like Final Fantasy X, and I probably will finish playing Final Fantasy X and Septerra Core, people don't like it, but they do like Battle Brothers and Jagged Alliance. They like the tactical wargaming crunch with some role playing and with a story to put it all together, and that's perfectly fine. I feel like that's probably where a lot of my content has gone off. I mean, it's where a lot of my blended Battletech content has came from. It's also where, again, I'm bringing it up, Winter's Edge came from, and I'm probably just gonna start shifting my content overall to be more like that. Based on that, I am doing a diplomacy game right now. Several of those players are with me. I am refereeing the game in teacher mode, where I can observe everything that's happening and all of the messages. I'm trying not to give anyone specific advice, only generic mechanical advice. And I'm marking down all the maps and all the important story arcs of betrayals and agreements, alliances, and movements, and I will be weaving them with some interviews into a series. I know some people here wanted to be in that game and didn't make it. Depending on, so far, I'd say the game's successful. People haven't just outrightly quit. This is about the farthest we've gotten into a game that didn't involve me winning outrightly in a while. I was looking into other war games. There haven't been a lot of play-by-email war games that have been developed in the last 20 years. A lot of them were from the 90s and earlier, which I think is really unfortunate. And I was looking specifically for Star Trek war games, and they basically don't exist. All of the Star Trek war games that I thought existed were just little more than like bulletin board RP postings. Given that I'm already writing a Battletech war game, I'm probably not going to go out of my way to develop a Star Trek one at this time. That said, if people have a war game that can be played somewhat asynchronously, I would be interested in giving it a run. I feel like wargaming may be the missing link from what I do now to metagaming. That I've always wanted to do metagaming. We just don't have the curated. All right, I'm getting. Well, James, I wasn't born in 1979, so. Is Starfleet Battles a PBEM from 1979?
No. It's a like a tabletop war game of Star Trek.
I don't know anything about that. Any war game I do, I would like to have some measure of role player characterization in it. So I'd like to keep that in mind. I've been very inspired by Little Wars TV. So here are some possible future shows. Keep an eye out for a once a week Pokemon Scarlet Violet collab with up to 3 other people. I think Cotton will definitely be joining me, maybe Pondo, so 1 or 2 slots may be open. The survival servers have been dead for a while, and that's fine. It will return when Pal World comes out, which is the Pokemon with guns and crafting. It's going to be dope, probably. And there are a couple other games I've been keeping my eye on, but it won't be anytime soon. But they will be back eventually. Stars Rising and Metroville and Generic Fantasy Adventure have rapidly drained the Patreon account of all of its funds. So don't expect to see more art anytime soon. The poor damaged wallet needs to refill itself, and that's fine because I feel like I've got a lot of art. I got a lot of overlays ready here. We're good for now. Just know you're not going to get the same speed of art which has been deployed on the Discord that you've been looking at so far. In terms of games that I've kept out there in my heart and that I'd like to run in the short term, of course, Cyberpunk Red, the continuation of Dante's adventures in pre-Afterlife Services, a Lovecraft game from the guy Kevin Crawford who did Stars Without Numbers, Vampire the Masquerade, if I felt like I could get a cast that I could handle, and maybe an audience that won't mock me every time I say any one thing that might be wrong. And I've been looking at a Twilight 2000. I had a whole play-by-post choose your own adventure thing set up for it, and then I backed away when things were getting weird. And then the Ukraine thing happened. I mean, Ukraine war happened. So I feel like it was wise to back away when I did. Based on playing Jagged Alliance 2 lately, I feel like Twilight 2000 could be used to get a small group into a game of Twilight 2000 set in Arulco in a somewhat alternate storyline that would still use all of the same equipment that the game has and that Twilight 2000 has. There's a lot of overlap there. There's a lot of crunch. The way that the map is designed so that the further south you go, the more tough and experienced the enemies are and the better their equipment is very good for how Twilight 2000 works. So I feel like that could be eventually a solid show. These are all just dreams right now. Ephemeral fog that you can reach out and grab, but never hold. That's all I have. Any questions, comments, concerns, statements, homilies?
I like the Twilight 2000 idea.
Yeah, I know you do. That's because the password to your secret Barotrauma server is a reference to Twilight 2000. You got Twilight 2000 on the brain, brother.
Just finished running a campaign, so yeah.
Put custom lore in the title, that way they can't complain. I mean, I don't know if you know how the internet works. They will still complain. I still get Battletech rules corrections like 5 or 6 years late, even though someone has already corrected me several times in the comment section already. Starfleet battles from 1979, James. Wow. Okay, well, it sounds like there are no questions, comments, or concerns, statements, or homilies. Therefore, I will thank you, Patreons and Twitch subs. Your support lets me do all the things I'm doing. You may notice I didn't talk that much about Stars Rising, even though that's up on deck. I'm looking for a cast for it. Because of all of the heart that I put into it and all of the cash that I put into it, I want it to be a group of very special people, and I'm not currently sure how I'm going to find them. So I need more time to think about it. And I hope that next time around, I'll have a bit more to say. With that said, thank you for your support. I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing without you, and I hope to see you next month. And of course, since this will be public, and people will have watched about Project Athena, maybe you watched the whole thing through here, this meeting was unusual, and then I feel like I was more coherent than normal. Soundwave joined at literally the last second. Unfortunately, Soundwave, I'm just ending right now. Unless you have any questions, comments, concerns, statements, or homilies, he doesn't even have his earphones on. All right, I'm hitting stop recording now. Thank you all.